Welcome to the world of filmmaking. And on this episode of The Next Guest from the 973 show, it is a US filmmaker, Todd Thompson.
How are you?
Welcome to Bahrain.
Thanks for having me.
Todd, congratulations. You just screened your movie Woman in Motion at the film festival, the Bahrain Film Festival. Tell us about the experience to begin with.
Well, it's been great being here. Everyone in Bahrain that I've met's just been extremely hospitable. The festival's amazing. I mean, I've had my fair share of experience at film festivals around the world, and this one's definitely, one of the top. It's just not just the way it's been organized, but just the enthusiasm and the energy and the creativity that's here, and I think most of all, like, the love of cinema. Mm-hmm. You can really feel it. You can taste it here, and it's fun. It's just fun to be around, especially when you're hanging out with filmmakers and storytellers all day long, and people like yourself. Just the wheels are constantly turning and the energy's flowing. So it's been a great, fun ride. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a little more about Woman in Motion, like the theme or what's the message that it's trying to communicate.
Well, the film Woman in Motion, I directed and produced about Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek, and for many of you who know, like, Nichelle was in America one of the first Black women on television in a leadership role, which is very important. There were other Black people on television at the time, but Nichelle was cast in a role as Lieutenant of Communication. She's Chief Communication Officer on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, which was very significant back in the day, because in that time in the United States, Black people on television were very subservient. They were house servants or chauffeurs, and never in a leadership role like Nichelle played. So her getting cast on the show and her staying on the show was imperative for the American people to see on a weekly basis, so that they could get used to that just piece of their culture changing. Yeah. Really. But what was ironic about the story is, as an actress, she was getting very, very bored with her job, because while she was thrilled to have a job, the scripts were getting smaller and smaller. Her lines in the scripts, her contribution to the episodes were getting more and more diluted. She would start off having, monologues of dialogue, and then they would always get reduced to yes sir, no sir, and so after about a year of that, she got tired, quite honestly, and put in her resignation to leave. But that's when Dr. Martin Luther King, a very huge civil rights leader in America, approached her and said, I'm a huge fan. Star Trek's the only show I let my kids watch at home. And you can't resign. I mean, Americans seeing you on TV every week is so important to help our cause, to help forward the cause for Black rights and civil rights. So he convinced her to stay, and she ended up staying on for 2 more seasons before the show got canceled. So that was a very fascinating part of her life. But then the other part of her life, sort of Act 2, if you will, would come into play after Star Trek, after the show was canceled. She became connected with NASA. And very quickly, the way Nichelle's mind thinks, she very quickly saw that there were no Black people at NASA and there were no women at NASA that she could see. And NASA also saw it as a problem, because while they were wrapping up their Apollo program, which got us to the moon, which required the help of US Navy pilots, Air Force pilots, who were all white men, they now had a space shuttle, which was an airplane basically, and they needed different types of astronauts this time. They needed scientists, they needed biologists, they needed engineers, teachers to go up into space, and they were getting no applications because America didn't think that we wanted them. So they turned to Nichelle as Lieutenant Uhura, who they knew everyone loved, and they sent her on a campaign for 4 months. And she went city to city, basically across the entire country in 4 months, and convinced America that NASA wants them. And so for the first time ever in NASA history, they got the largest number of applicants that they ever got for any one of their programs. And they increased the size of that first space shuttle class from, I believe, like 25 candidates to 35. And it was a nice, diverse group of men, women, Blacks, whites, Latinos, Asians. Everyone was in the mix. And that was basically the result of her efforts with the program. So she's the reason why we have diversity now in the space program.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Todd, reading about you, I learned that right from childhood, you had this dream of being one that you are today.
I have a dream, see? I had a dream too.
And storytelling is not for everyone. It has to come with a passion, isn't it? How do you look at this journey of yours from here to that child who had that ambition in you?
It's a good question. It's very poetic. It's romantic in a way. You look back and you, like this week while I've been in Bahrain, I've had a chance to talk to school kids and talk about my journey, and it's cool to like look back, and I remember when I was there, you know, I remember when I was one watching movies and getting so influenced by what I saw, and I had such a passion for storytelling. And I mean, I would literally spend my time at home writing stories and writing books, and I wrote so many of them that I created a library at home, and I used to have my parents and my sisters, like they had to check out books like they were in a library out of my bedroom. But yeah, I always just love storytelling, and I credit that a lot to my parents, my grandparents. My aunt and uncle owned a movie theater in the town where I grew up, so I got to see all my movies there on Friday nights. But I didn't watch them from the seats. I watched them up in the back where the projector was, and I got to look at them through the little hole. And so I had a different type of movie experience, and but I think all that influenced me as I grew older. And funny, I didn't study film in school. I studied business, I studied marketing and advertising, but it was always like inside me. So now that I'm older and now that I'm a filmmaker, I look back and I realize that, you know, whatever that passion is inside you is what you should listen to, and you should you should follow and advance yourself with, because that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Indeed, pursuing your passion makes a big difference.
Exactly.
And you come with rich expertise, especially the Disney World experience, isn't it? How do you think that contributed to your career?
It was very serendipitous. I mean, you know, I don't think there's a company more creative out there than Disney, and so it was kind of a natural fit for me. I landed a position with Disney like right out of college, and I spent about 21 years there.
Wow.
You know, mostly on the business side, on the marketing side. But because of my passion for filmmaking, because, you know, I worked as an actor on the side, you know, I would always, whenever I would get cast in a movie or a TV show, I would take some vacation time and go do my movie. So my role at Disney quickly transitioned into a directing and producing role, because they saw my passion, they recognized my talent, I guess, for what I do, what I like to do. And so I quickly started, you know, producing little projects for them, commercial projects, things for their websites. And so it was great. It was almost like a school I sort of dove into head first and taught myself. It was like a filmmaking 101, but sort of on my terms, you know, with using, you know, allowing to get to work with the Disney company, which was great learning experience. And it's not bad having, you know, like Mickey Mouse as a boss.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And Todd, I'm sure you've come across many awards and recognitions throughout your career. What do these awards or recognitions mean to you?
You know, getting recognized or getting awards is nice. And, you know, everyone likes to be recognized and get an award. But if anything, I think they're just, they inspire me. They inspire me to do better and inspire me to do more. But you know, at the same time, so does rejection. You know, like every time I get rejected for a role, or every time somebody says no to a project, or every time somebody, like if I submit a movie to a film festival and they don't choose it, the rejection is almost more powerful than the award, because it motivates me to work harder, stay more focused, do better. You know, and it's not that I did anything wrong, but it's just that it's that fire inside me that continues to want to do more and do better. So I think the rejection is actually almost sometimes better than getting an award. The reward is almost like a little gift from God that says, "Hey, you're doing good. Keep going." Doing good. You know?
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it. And I think the youngsters or the young filmmakers out there, it's a good take back. Like, you know, that should be a motivation to move forward. You just mentioned that you interacted with children. And these are the days when youngsters are all out there and they know everything, and everyone can create a movie with a gadget in their hand, isn't it? What would be your one tip or advice to serious youngsters out there who would have a passion for this art? How easy? Is it as easy as they think?
Well, I mean, one thing that's very easy now is that phone. I mean, on that phone, you can make a movie. I mean, those phones shoot 4K. Now the new iPhone shoots 3D.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the children of like this generation, this new generation, has more tools at their disposal than like I ever had. Like I used to have to go out and earn money to buy film, to hire a crew, and now you can do everything with your phone. So there's really no excuse for not being creative if creative is what you want to be. And I just really urge them to, knowing that they have that in their back pocket, I would urge them to focus on story, you know, to be a really good storyteller, and decide, you know, what stories you want to tell and why you want to tell those stories. For me, I like telling stories that enlighten humankind, make the world a better place, leave the world a little better than I found it. I like to bring attention to stories that teach us things. But, you know, that's me. But I think whoever you are out there, if storytelling is your passion, you know, focus on being a good storyteller.
That perhaps precisely brings me to my next question. We're living in an era where artificial intelligence is taking over. You know, kind of creativity is being machine guided. What is your thought on those artificial content out there?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think any advancement with technology is a good thing as long as we keep it in check. We use it the right way. You know, artificial intelligence is just pulling from every single source that's been out there for the last, you know, since the history of the world. So if we stop becoming creative and rely on artificial intelligence, we're never going to advance because we're only going to be pulling from. It's like listening to the same song over and over again. I mean, you love the song, but you're never going to get any new music if you don't go out there and write new stuff. So I think artificial intelligence is a great tool, but I don't think it's the ultimate tool. I don't think it's like it should ever replace the human mind, the human spirit, the human heart, because that's what gravitates us. That's what draws us into art to begin with, whether it be a good book, a great song, or in this case, a good movie. You know, it's what we as individuals, we as a director, we as a storyteller bring to that project. So I don't think I'd ever want to see a movie done by a computer, because that means I'm watching somebody else's work from God knows how long ago. Yeah. The
creativity, yes. Yeah. And you must be knowing about Bahrain. Bahrain is home to almost more than 50% of its population are expats like me, you know, and it's a vibrant community out there, especially when it comes to the fine arts like movie making or acting. For example, the Bahrain Cinema Club. They are a very small community, but very active community out there. The same applies to every community here. And post-COVID, we've seen a surge in these movies, you know, the short movies especially. What is your take on such short movies? Do you think the pandemic gifted that, pandemic brought those innovations within people? How do you look at it?
I'm sorry,
I said, movies? Like, you know, short movies?
Oh, short films.
Short films, yeah.
No, I mean, I started off making short films. Yeah, I mean, that's how most filmmakers get their start. You know, they don't have a lot of money or big budgets or the experience or the credibility to make a big movie. So everyone starts off writing little short stories. I did many of them. I still do them today. I do commercials, which are short stories, really, in a way. I think they're very important because, you know, it doesn't take 2 hours to tell a message. It could take 5 minutes. It could take 1 minute. It just, again, it goes back to how you tell that story, what story you're trying to tell and how you tell it and how creative you are in getting that message across. So, you know, if you have a lot of money, you can invest in a big feature film. Great, go for it. But it better be a great story. If you only have a little bit of money and if you have no money at all, but you have a phone and you want to tell the world something, you have a chance to do that with your phone and it could be great.
And maybe one more thing on the technical side. How do you look at wearing different hats at the same time, like a writer, producer, actor?
Oh, well, I mean, for me, it's been great because, again, I started off, I guess, I first started off writing because that was easiest for me to pick up a pen and paper. I quickly got into acting. So again, while I didn't go to film school, I certainly attended a lot of workshops and seminars and whatnot for both acting and for film. But, you know, while I didn't go to formal film school, like what I learned as what I learned writing helped me as an actor. What I learned acting helped me as a director. What I learned directing helps me communicate with actors. Yeah. And then ultimately, you know, I end up in an edit room somewhere putting it all together. Okay. And because I wrote it, because I know how to act, because I know how to direct, it certainly helps me in the edit room know what I need to get and know what I need to the puzzle pieces I need to like tell that story.
So, I think everything comes with that passion within, isn't it? It should not be doing it for the sake of doing it, doing everything together. Yeah,
so for me, you know, I got to experience and learn the full picture, the full circle, but it's great to, you know, also just, if your passion is acting, you know, really focus on acting and be the best actor you can be. If your focus is directing, become the best director you can be. You know, study the great people and figure out how to do it better or how to figure out how to do it different to bring your own voice to the picture.
Todd, tell us about your new project.
Well, so I've got several projects going on at the moment.
One on the band, perhaps?
Yeah, so I just finished a film called Prefab, which is the story of the birth of the Beatles. So everyone knows the Beatles, everyone knows how the Beatles broke up, but for some reason, nobody knows how they started. Okay. And I happened to meet the one person on planet Earth that was there the day John Lennon fell in love with rock and roll, the day John met Paul, and the day Paul introduced everyone to George. And it just so happened to be John, Paul, George, and my friend Colin now, who was the drummer in John Lennon's first rock and roll band when he was a kid. Oh, okay. So again, the power of being a kid, you can do anything when you're a kid, and little did he know that they were going to go on to become the Beatles. But it's a great little story that nobody knows. And it's been a pleasure.
When can we expect that? When is it due?
Oh, it's done now. We're literally, we've just done some test screenings around the country, and we submitted to some film festivals, and we're in the process of, finding a home for it with the distribution, whether it be Disney Plus or back at Paramount where Woman in Motion lives. I'm not sure, but it'll find a home somewhere. It's a great little film, and it's a really funny story, really, quite honestly, yeah.
Maybe before we end this chat, one final question.
Yeah.
What is your comment on film festivals like these? The small film festivals, like that in Bahrain. How do you think that contributes to this world?
Well, I mean, I don't, it's my first time in Bahrain, and I don't consider the Bahrain Film Festival a small film festival. I mean, I'm here and there's just people from all over coming in from Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, and they're flying in from everywhere to be here. So, I mean, I've been to small film festivals that are, small hometown festivals, and they're great. But to me, this is a rather large festival. Maybe it's a small country, a small kingdom, but it's a big festival, and it's an important festival. And you can tell it's important because everybody's here. And it's great that, the U.S. ambassador comes to support it. The Minister of Information's here. It's great to see, that the government and the partners within the government and third-party partners just really come together to support a cause like this, because film is a very powerful medium. And the art, as in anything with the arts. And it's just great to use that medium for the greater good of a country, of a people, of a human race, basically, So it's been great being here. I think this program that the U.S. Embassy has where they bring over a filmmaker like myself is amazing. It's just been personally great to meet everybody and get to share my story with everyone. But, if my story can influence or touch one child out there, one filmmaker out there, one storyteller to not give up, to keep going, then, I've done my job. So, but I couldn't have done that without the support of, the U.S. Embassy and the Kingdom of Bahrain. So it's been great to be here, and it's been my pleasure.
Thank you very much, Todd, for joining us. Can I have your final remarks to your viewers, please?
Hey, I'll see you at the movies. All right.
That was US filmmaker Todd Thomas, who is in Bahrain to be part of the Bahrain Film Festival on The Next Guest from the 973 show. So wait for the next inspiring, engaging, and exciting next guest.